With the 28th pick, the Golden State Warriors selected Patrick Baldwin Jr. out of Milwaukee. On Golden State, Baldwin Jr. is going to one of the best teams in the league at player development, and they won't need contributions from him immediately, which bodes well for his success in the NBA. So in this video, you're going to learn exactly who is Patrick Baldwin Jr., what does he bring to the table, and why he could very easily be the steal of the draft. Back in 2021, Patrick Baldwin Jr. was a 5-star recruit. As an extremely talented 6'10 forward with a good outside shot and scoring ability, he was projected to be a top 10 pick in the 2022 draft. Baldwin Jr. decided to play for his father at Milwaukee, and unfortunately, he played way below expectations. In his lone year at Milwaukee, Baldwin Jr. averaged 12 points and 6 boards a game on just 34% shooting from the field and 26% from 3. To be fair, he was only able to play in 11 games due to an ankle injury, and it's likely that his injury kept him out of rhythm. But nevertheless, his poor season at Milwaukee caused his draft stock to take a nosedive, and he went from a potential lottery pick to being selected 28th overall in the draft. But the Warriors were willing to look past his bad year at Milwaukee and believed that if they took him into their system, he could develop into a quality player years down the line. So what does Patrick Baldwin Jr. bring to the table? For starters, he brings great positional size at 6'10 with a long 7'2 wingspan, and he could play both forward spots. But it's worth mentioning that Baldwin Jr. is pretty limited athletically, as he measured with just a 26-inch vertical at the draft combine, and he also tested poorly in lane agility and sprints. But to be fair to Baldwin Jr., his athleticism took a hit thanks to his ankle injury, and he should be able to improve under an NBA training program. His best strength is easily his shooting ability, as he was known as a knockdown shooter back in high school. Even though he shot poorly in a small sample size in college, scouts believe in his shooting ability because he has a smooth, fast release. He's also got a high release point, and at 6'10", it's easy to imagine him getting that shot off against NBA level defenders. Along with the outside shooting, he's also shown potential as a shot creator. He's very comfortable putting the ball on the floor and getting into pull-ups for mid-range, and he's even shown the ability to knock down difficult shots. Now, he didn't shoot a good percentage on these looks, but it's easy to buy the shot-making ability. Part of the reason he shot such a low percentage was because he took way too many tough shots, and he also lacks the burst to get easier looks for himself at the rim. While he can score the ball off the bounce, he's much better off in an off-ball role. Baldwin is also a pretty good passer. This wasn't reflected in his assist numbers at Milwaukee, as he averaged under 2 assists a game, but he's unselfish and he can read the floor at a high level and find the open man within the flow of the offense. On the defensive end, his lack of agility makes him vulnerable to dribble penetration by fast players. This could make it difficult for him to contain quick wing players at the next level, but on the positive side, his length did often make him a good recovery defender when beaten. His length also allows him to block shots from the weak side and get steals, which is why he averaged almost a block and a steal a game. It's possible he could turn into a plus defender at the NBA level, but he's going to need to continue to develop his body. Overall, Patrick Baldwin Jr. looks like a project and a potential steal for the Warriors, but he's going to need to polish his offensive game and improve his defense. The Warriors are probably the best place for Baldwin to land because they'll be patient with his development. The Warriors are a deep roster with championship expectations, so Baldwin probably won't be in the rotation to start the season, but he'll learn a lot from the veterans on the roster like Draymond Green, and will probably spend some time in the G League. The Warriors tend to bring their picks along slowly, but a few years down the line, they tend to blossom. For the Dubs, Baldwin could be another late pick that turns into a fantastic player. A recent pick of the Warriors that I believe will blossom next year is Kaminga. Click this video to see why Kaminga will break out for the Warriors next season.